today will be a little different than the usual. I feel like we still just in general maybe need a little bit more grounding, a little bit more kind of quiet time with all this craziness. So just know that it'll be pretty mellow. We'll do a lot of really smaller repetitive movements in an effort to bring more mobility into our spine, in particular in the twisting um, state. Yeah? So, and we'll take a couple of checks and rechecks periodically to see how things are progressing. And the first check, this is the weirdest way to start, but it's going to be a revolved triangle pose. Yeah. So we'll start out.
I did not participate in a
I think you were here. Yeah.
Started.
No. All right, and I'm gonna have two blocks. You could have no blocks. It's not so much about the pose as it is about just a check to see where you are. So just have one leg forward, one leg back, hands to the hips. And then as you come forward and down, you can bring, let's see, it's left leg forward, you can bring right hand down. Huh? And just see how this feels. Yeah, we've done nothing to warm up, so you might take just a little kind of an open and close, little back and forth. Check it out. Yeah. And that's that. So we'll come up and change sides. And same thing here. Come forward and down. And most of us have one side where we twist a little more easily than the other. Yeah. This is not the side. Michelle says this is not her side. All right, and then let's come out of that and just kind of take a little mental picture how that felt, and we'll check it out in a little bit again. For props today, you might want something underneath your head and or something to put in between the knees. Anything is fine. I'm going to have a block and a blanket, but you can have anything. So let's come down onto our back, and we'll take another kind of pre-check. Like knees bent for this, you can have the legs bent or straight. And let's rest one hand over your belly and one hand on the heart or the chest or even the lower ribs. Just one hand above the other. And start to simply take a few breaths. And notice the movement underneath your hands. And you might feel more activity happening under one hand or the other. You might get a little bit of both. And I'll guide you through it. First, it'll be a 2-part breath, and then it'll be a 3-part breath. So after the next exhale, when you're empty, as you inhale, see if you can expand through the lower belly. And on the exhale, you'll just let that go. Sending the breath down a little deeper, a little lower. And we're going to add on to this. So on empty, that's the exhale. We'll breathe in again, first expanding the belly. And then when it feels full, you'll breathe in some more. Think of breathing out into the side ribs. And as you exhale, you'll let both go. Just let it relax. Take a few more rounds of that. So first it's belly. And then it's the side ribs. You might be completely satisfied just with these two areas, or you might want to add in a third part. And if you do, you'll exhale to empty. First inhale, expanding the belly. And then keep going, expanding through the ribs on the side. And then at the very top, it's just a last little sip of air at the upper chest. And on the exhale, let it all go. So take just a few more of those, either the 2-part or the 3-part. And then you'll just let that go, return to your normal breathing pattern. Now for this next part here, I'll recommend holding onto a block. If you don't have a block, you'll just kind of wrap your arms around your body. If you do have a block, you'll wrap your arms around the block, kind of like you're giving the block a little bit of a hug. Yeah, you could also use a stuffed animal or something else just to have something to hold. And then you'll start to take a little bit of a rock from side to side. And I'll be specific here. Let the rock happen from the torso, the rib cage, the head, but keep the hips and the legs and the pelvis relatively still. You might move a little bit, but it's not a huge whole body movement. It's really concentrated in the upper portion. Right, I'll call this the hug roll. We'll check in with this one periodically too to see if anything changes. Yeah. All right, friends. So from here, let's change our position. You'll just roll over to one side, and I'm not going to say right and left. I'll just say top and bottom. So whatever is easiest for you to see. And I'm going to wedge a block in between my knees and put a blanket under the head. That's just, for me, that feels more comfortable. You don't have to have it, but something might feel better for you than nothing. And then you'll have the arms just out straight from the shoulders. The top arm is over the bottom arm. And we'll do this movement here. I call it a palm slide. So you'll slide the top palm over the bottom. And then you'll come back in palm to palm. So do that a few times. And as you're going, as the top arm is reaching forward, the head will roll, the face might get a little bit mushed into the blanket or the floor. And hopefully you're feeling some movement going on in the shoulder blades. We're going to add on to this movement here. So you'll glide forward as you have been, and then when you come back, you'll bend the elbow and glide the palm over the arm, across the chest, and possibly to the other shoulder, and then you'll reset and go again. So we'll just take this a couple times, and just like when we were doing the hug rolls, keep the legs and the pelvis relatively still. They'll probably shift a little bit, but we're not trying to roll the whole back body to the floor as you open. Sometimes we would want to do that, but for this version, try to stay on the kind of the side of the hip there. And we'll take just a few more here in this position, and you can also now experiment with where your eyes are looking. So you might turn your head and maybe kind of glance up, or down. Maybe you do it with the eyes closed, but you feel the eyeballs turning one way or another. Yeah. And then from here, the next time you land with the two palms touching, just take a little pause here, take a breath. And then we're gonna slide the arms down maybe a foot or so in the direction of the knees. And we'll start with our palm to palm, those slides again with the arm in this new position. It'll feel a little different. And just like before, we'll add in the larger movement. So you'll glide forward, and then when you come back, you'll bend the elbows, slide the hand across the arm, across the chest, and back to your starting position. So with the arm in this down angle, the shoulder blade will have just a different path, and it'll create a different effect on the spine. And then if you want to experiment with what the head is doing, you might kind of glance up or down. You might try keeping the head. Don't turn the head as you're moving the arm, so that's an option too. Think of it more of an exploration than a right or a wrong position. Just a little bit of an inquiry for the body. And then the next time we come back to center, let's pause and just take a moment here with the hands stacked. We'll do one more position. Now you'll glide the arms up a little more in the direction of the head. And if you have something under the head, you might have to adjust it a little bit here. Let's start small, just with the palm slides, reaching a little forward and then back in. And of all three positions, this one is my favorite. I get a nice little stretch here in between the shoulder blades. And then when you want to make the larger movement here, start to glide the palm across the arm, across the collarbones, and open. And then back to your start. I didn't mention this before, but you could also experiment with the speed of the movement. So maybe going really, really slowly. Maybe that's kind of interesting. Maybe the opposite is true. You take it around a little quicker. And if you want to experiment with where your gaze is going or where the head is turning, might be an interesting way to go. Like this is going to make me feel great, very sore. Oh, I think it'll make you feel great. It's funny, it's very simple movement, but when we repeat it so many times, it really does have an effect. And let's see if it did. So let's pause back in our starting position. Just take another breath. And then before we do this all on the second side, let's come lay on your back for a second and we'll recheck the hug roll and the breath. So let's start with the breath. Hands could rest on the body or not. And then find your either 2 or 3 part breath here. And it's quite possible that the breath feels different on the right and the left side. One side we were just moving a lot and the other we weren't. So don't be alarmed. Hey, friends, let's check out our hug rolls here. So if you've got some object, you can give a little squeeze to. Start to move side to side. And I don't know if you're feeling the same thing as I am, but one side is quite a bit easier to go to, and the other side not so much. I'm not going to have us come up and check the triangle until after the second side, but my guess is you'd feel the same thing. One side would go a little more easily than the other. All right. So from here, let's switch over to our side 2. You can just roll over. I'm going to turn all the way around though, just so my back is not to you. And take whatever props make you feel comfortable here. We'll start out with the arms just straight out and do the top arm, the palm to palm. So back and forth we go. And let the head for now move with the arm, so it might, the side of your face might get a little squashed when you go over. And then we're going to add in the larger movement here. So start forward and then slide across the arm, across the chest, over to the other shoulder. And then you'll slide it back. And I'll just say this again about the legs. We don't want them to be rigid by any means, but we also don't want them to be moving a whole lot. So if they are moving a whole lot, you might actually move the upper body a little bit less. Now feel free to add in anything extra with the head. So maybe the head turns way over to the side. Maybe it stays in place as you do the arm movement. Maybe you experiment with where your eyes are turned. Great, friends. So from here, the next time you come back to your starting position, we'll just take a little pause, take a breath. Yeah. And then let's lower the arms a little bit closer to the knees and start just with the palm to palm. So for me, I get much less range of motion in this position than I did in the other. Notice the way your shoulder blades are moving, your spine. We're going to add in the glides, so the palm glides over the arm, across the chest, and back, making that same pathway. Any speed you want to try is fine. You can experiment with changing the speed. Sometimes though it feels good when you have a rhythm just to stick with, keep it the same. You choose. You're ready to add in some movement in the head. Anything you want there, it's fine. And then when you're ready to be done with this one, just pause back in your start position. Take a breath. And then we'll reset with the arms a little higher, and you might want to move the support for underneath your head. And starting just with the, oh, this one feels so good, the palm to palm. I should just do this more often, but do I? No. When you're ready to add in the extra, you'll slide across the arm, across the chest, and go back again. Now, if it feels good when you go forward to create like a little extra reach, that's fine. If you want to add in anything else with the head, go ahead and do that now. When you're ready to be done here, just take another little pause back in your starting position. Take a breath. Even here, I've noticed my breath has changed. So let's see when you come lie on your back, if anything has changed. So we'll start with either your 2 or your 3-part breath. And then we'll pick up your object and give it a little hug and check out the hug rolls. Great, friends. In a second, we are going to come up and check out our revolved triangle. So let's take the object away and just take a second here. And it might feel kind of abrupt. We've been laying down for a while. If you need any kind of wiggly sort of things before you come up, we will come right back down again. So just so you know that, but we will come up when you're ready. To check out the revolved triangle. Yeah. All right, so you can set up how you did before. I was on the 2 blocks. You can, whatever version you did. And then see how not specific I am, just pick a side, yeah? Right or left, whatever. And then come forward and down. And just see, maybe you take your little in and out rotation here. See if that's any different. Anybody? Yeah. It's funny because we've done nothing to stretch the hamstrings or warm up the hips, but I am Feeling a lot more open here. And then let's come up and we'll change to our second side. Switcheroo. And again, just check it out. Ease your way in. You go back and forth. And then let's come back up. And before we come down again, you guys are here. Anything you want to say?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like that. I could feel tightness in my legs this time, and I didn't really notice before.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Because the top has to cover.
Yeah, Michelle, I don't know if you could hear that. Michelle said the second time she felt more tightness in the legs because the first time up here was tight, and then when that opened up, then she noticed other things. Yeah. So we'll come back down again, and we'll do a little bit of a similar pattern. It'll start in the same shape, but this time we'll work a little bit more with the lower half. And for me, I like to have something in between the knees. If it feels fine to have the legs stacked with no props, I think that would actually be better. But for me, that feels crummy in my hips, so I'm gonna stick with, I'm actually gonna put the blanket in between and have the block under my head, but you can do what you like. Yeah, so let's go back to your first side. All right, it feels good to lay down again. So next we'll take the top leg and you'll glide it forward so the top knee goes ahead of the bottom knee and just to whatever amount it goes. And then you'll reset back to center. Do that a few times. And you won't get as much movement here as you did when you were moving the upper body. The lumbar spine. I'm going to teach this tomorrow. I don't remember, but it has a much, much less range of motion in twists than the rest of the spine.
Tomorrow in your yoga.
Yeah, I'm doing anatomy of the spine tomorrow, so I should better look up the the exact amount. But it's much, much less than the rest of the spine. And that's not a bad thing. It is what it is. So you're likely not getting as much movement here as you did elsewhere. All right, so we're gonna come back to center and now go the opposite way. So you'll glide the top knee back, not the knee, the whole leg, and then back to center. Do that one a couple of times. And of course the pelvis will be moving. The whole spine might move a little bit, but try to stay pretty quiet through the upper part for now. Even if you feel like you're getting less overall movement that way. Right, and now we're going to go forward and backward. Take that one.
Your blanket isn't really.
It's yeah, that's why if it feels okay to go without the blanket, it's a little better, but I'm a trained professional here. So no, the blanket sometimes gets a little bunched up if it's in between the knees.
It just keeps sliding out.
It just keeps sliding out, then just keep tucking it in. Yeah, that's how it goes with the blanket. All right, so let's pause here. Just let the legs rest. And we'll come back to the upper body, and the movement is similar to the other one that we did, but it's not quite the same. So let the top arm glide forward as we did. And now when you glide back, keep the arms straight and only go as far as you're able to without bending the elbow. We'll have to do that a couple of times. And now the block is in the way, so I'm gonna ditch the block. Okay. So we're going to combine this a little bit. Let's come back to center. And then you'll reach the top arm forward and the top leg back. And don't be alarmed that it's not that far. And then you'll return to center. Do that a few times so the arm goes forward, the leg goes back. A little bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? Yeah, I guess we could call it a spine twister. Let's pause next time you're in the middle. And then you guessed it, we go the other way. So the leg comes forward, the arm comes back, and center. Do that one a few times. This one's a little easier, yeah?
Yeah, it's hard.
Michelle says it's harder. Everybody's different. Most of us have one way that the spine twists. It's kind of, we're automatically in a little bit of a twist. So it's easier to continue that direction. And it's harder to go the other way. So this next one should be actually a little easier. Let's pause in the center. And then both the arm and the leg will go forward. So it's more of a roll than a twist. And then you'll go both back. Do that one a few times. Again, the top arm will stay straight. All right, friends, our grand finale with this one. Let's pause in the middle. The arm goes forward, the leg goes back, and then the leg comes forward and the arm comes back. Oh my goodness. And don't force it. Like maybe you think, oh, I should be able to go more than this. Just go however far you go. Don't try to push beyond that.
Could
And
you
just like,
repeat that, Caroline?
what's that about how far to go?
What we're doing?
Oh, sorry. When one arm goes forward, the leg goes back, and then the leg goes forward and the arm comes back. So we're kind of putting it all together. And don't worry about it'll probably feel like I should be able to go further than this, but don't try to push beyond your range. Yeah. If you work within your range in a smooth, easy, gentle kind of way, the range will become bigger over time. It might already be bigger than it was a moment ago. All right, let's finish up this one and just take a pause. And then we're going to do all three rechecks, the breath, the hug roll, and the triangle before we swap sides. So let's come over onto your back. And it might feel very strange. Take a few rounds of your 2 or 3 part breath. And then we'll locate your object, give it a little hug, and check out your hug rolls. Oh my goodness. Is anybody else finding one side you roll almost all the way over, and the other side it's like, not even close? That's just me, okay.
One side is looser.
Michelle says one side's looser than the other. Jill, do you still feel pretty much the same on both?
No, I think the right side is looser.
Right side is looser for Jill. All right, let's come up and we'll try our revolve triangle. And keep in mind, we haven't done the second side yet, so the sides will probably feel different.
I definitely felt lopsided laying
A
down.
little lopsided laying down, yeah. It's good to notice. All right, we won't be here long. This will just be a kind of a quickie. The side one, on in, check it out. And then up and side two. Oh, now we're cooking. This side feels great. All right. And then if we come, anything you want to say before we go back down?
Awesome.
Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So
So,
good for that.
yeah.
Sit at the desk all day.
Right, this is the anti-desk asana. Yeah. So just remember what's your second side, and whatever props you're using, I'm gonna start with the block, but then I'll probably ditch it under the head. All right. So the leg, the top leg, we'll slide it forward so the knee goes ahead of the bottom knee, and then back to center. Do that a couple of times. Now the second side has already been opened up a little bit by the movement on the first side. So you might notice that it's easier from the get-go than the other side was. Had some sirens outside. We'll just send a little good energy that direction. And then let's pause and we'll go the other direction so the knee will glide back. This one's harder for me to do. And then back to center. Take that one a couple of times. And then let's go all the way forward and all the way back. Great. Pause. And just now the arm and the upper body glide forward. And then when you come back, keep the arms straight as you go any amount that you can with a straight arm. And we'll do that a few times. Yeah, our next door neighbors, it's a coffee shop under construction. So they got a new sign though. The sign outside is very cute, yeah. And I met them the other day. They were giving out free coffee, but it was at 5 at night, so I declined. Yeah.
Another new coffee shop coming in over by Maya's.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
All right, so let's try this. Come back to center with the arm. And then the top leg will go forward and the top arm will come back. Huh? And then you'll come to center. Do that a few times. The top leg forward, the top arm back. And just return to center. We won't do the full one yet. Yeah. Yeah, maybe the brain gets kind of confused. That's not a bad thing, actually. There's actually a name for that. I don't remember, but when the brain like kind of doesn't quite know what to do, that's really good from a movement perspective because it helps create new pathways. All right, so we're gonna change. Let's pause in the center. And now the top arm goes forward and the top leg goes back. And then center. Let's do that one a couple of times.
My brain's getting a workout.
The brain is getting a workout. That's good, yeah. All right. And then in a second, the next one will be easier. So let's pause here just back to center. And now we'll take both the arm and the leg forward. So it's more of a roll than a twist. And then the arm and the leg back. All the way back, yeah. And here my blanket's migrating. Jill.
Mine isn't this.
And hers is staying put. Maybe it's a right-left thing. I don't know. Okay, are we ready for this last little tongue twister? Come back to center. And then when the arm goes forward, the leg comes back. And then the arm will come back and the leg will come forward. See if you can reconcile that.
Wasn't that hard on the other side?
Yeah, Michelle noticed this side is very different. For me too.
Very complicated.
Yeah, and like I said on the other side, don't be alarmed if the range of motion is much less than you think it should be. Work within your range, and over time it will become bigger, but it'll be more efficient if you do it gradually and gently than if you just kind of crank it. Yeah? All right, let's check it out. Pause. We'll return to your back. Check our breath. So far, this has been the most dramatic breath change for me. And whenever you're ready for the hug rolls, we'll grab the object. And then, oh my goodness, side to side we go. I don't know about you guys, for me the difference between now and the first round is very different. And the two sides are feeling a little more even. Right. So let's pause and we'll come up and check out our revolve triangle. And then we're going to do another pose standing. So
It's funny, I remember all of this except the whole revolve triangle.
except the revolve triangle, that's funny. Yeah, I did this sequence maybe a month or two ago with you guys, but not very many people were here. All right, so whatever's your slide one, come on in, check it out. Oh, wow. So easy now. Anybody else? Yeah. Wow, okay. And then up we come. Second side. I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just saying what I'm feeling here. Second side. Oh, yeah.
A little stiff.
This side, yeah, for me too. This is my harder side anyway, so.
Much better.
All right, and then let's come back up. And this next one here, you won't be able to see my hands on the screen, but you'll get the idea. I have my back to you. Let's stand with the legs wider than you normally stand, but not really wide, just kind of medium. And then the right arm will take a sweep kind of forward and up, and you'll pivot on the right foot and look up towards the arm. And then you'll come down and switch. So the left side, same thing, look up. And then we come down, we go again on the right, but this time look down towards the foot. You might not actually see the foot, just go that direction with your face. And then the other side. Yeah. Okay. And then release that. So we're going to do a version of that next laying down. You come on down, and for this one, depending on your floor, if you're on carpet, you might even just get rid of the mat. You will likely not be on the mat the whole time. So don't feel like you have to stay put in your real estate. Yeah,
But we have to
spread
move
out.
everything out of the way.
Yes, you'll want to move stuff out from beside you, and if you need a head blanket, that's fine. So you take the legs out about mat's width or a little bit wider, and then you'll take the arms up so your body's making a big letter X. Yeah. Feels nice to take up space, doesn't it? All right, so let's turn your face to the right, and then you'll start to curl the right fingers in, not really making a fist, just letting them curl in. And then the wrist will peel off the floor, you'll bend the elbow will peel off the floor, you'll bend at the shoulder, and then you'll do that kind of arm sweep that we did. So the fingers sweep across the chest over the other arm, and now the right hip is leaving the floor. Keep the right toe, the right big toe touching, but it's okay if the heel lifts. And now reach the right arm beyond the left arm, like there's something over there that you're reaching for. And then pretend somebody's pulling on your foot. And then the heel will come down, the hip will come down, the back will come down, the shoulder, and then you'll land back in your starting X position. Turn your face to look left, and same thing. You'll bend at the fingers, the wrist comes up, the elbow, the shoulder. The arm kind of sweeps over the other arm. And then the hip will lift the floor, the heel will lift the floor, but we keep the big toes touching. Stay here, and if it feels all right to reach even a little extra, do. And then somebody's pulling on your foot, the heel comes down, the hip comes down, the spine, the shoulder, the arm, back in your letter X. Let's go again, same exact thing. So right side does the moving. And then the right foot rolls back down. And then the left side does the moving. And the left foot pulls you back. All right, so there's one more version of this that you might want to try. Instead of the arm going kind of across the chest to the other arm, you can take the arm, let's say it's the right arm, it sweeps up by your head and then rolls you over kind of from that perspective, but you end up in the same place. And then same thing to get out, the right foot pulls you down, the arm arcs overhead back into your letter X. Now, so try that. If that doesn't feel good, go back to the other one. I'll just say it again. The arm sweeps up by your head, and then it meets the other arm as you roll over. And then you'll use the foot to unroll yourself back into start. Oh, I feel like a pancake here. And then let's have this be your last one.
They're like one of your tortoises.
One of the tortoises that flipped over.
Yeah, exactly.
Our tortoises, one of them is really good at flipping over, but the other three are not. So, like, I'm very worried whenever that happens. Because they don't even try to get back up. They sit there and like, help. All right. Let's check out our breath again after that. So you can keep the legs long if you want. I'm going to bend my knees. I just find that more comfortable.
I think the tortoises have me trained.
Yeah, maybe the tortoises have me trained. Anybody else finding it just easier to breathe?
First I thought I wasn't breathing as well.
Because it was just slower.
It was easier.
Nice. All right, if you have your block handy, great. If you don't, just give yourself a big hug. We're gonna check out our hug rolls here. Hopefully, this is the best one yet. Yeah, now since we're already down, I'm gonna have us, we'll do our Shavasana and then we'll check out the triangles after Shavasana. I know it's like not the normal way we could do it, but just because it doesn't feel good to get up again, right? Okay, so let's let the props go and just come into whatever would be a comfortable Shavasana for you. Legs could be long, knees bent. You could spread out, you could curl in, you could take props. Whatever you like is good. Allow your body to settle. And allow your body to be breathed. The breath into you, maybe in different places than before. Relax your chest, belly, face. You relax through the back body, spine, all the muscles that run along the spine. Your whole body to receive the breath. Bring your attention back to your body. And start to bring in any kind of movement, the feet or the hands or the head, anything at all. And eventually, let the knees bend. And let your whole body roll over to one side. From there, press on up to sit. Pause here for a sec. Hands at heart center. Thank your body. Everything that it's able to do. And thank yourself for showing up. Namaste. Namaste, friends. Let's check our revolve triangle. Yeah, last little bit. Last little bit. All right, I'm gonna do my challenged side first. No, it's this one. I have my favorite side and then my second favorite side. Although it did open up, that's for sure. Just change tone. Oh, it's a yoga miracle. Anybody else?